Hey kids, welcome back to yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. I am at Quaker Steak and Lube here in State College, and the dear Goon is on location and enjoying the festivities ahead of the new year on Saturday when Penn State will bring in the new year with a matchup against Arkansas in the Outback Bowl. And Goon, before we get into that, just want to get your thoughts on John Madden. Booch and I talked about a bit on Tuesday, but there's just certain, and for me, it's a fairly sizable number of broadcasters that I just have a strong affinity for. But John Madden is one of those that just had an ability to connect with his audience and make things that might be difficult to understand for the average non-football aficionado to be able to plug into. And he really did have a terrific ability to make watching football fun. To me, John Madden is what Monday Night Football was in that regard, in that it was just an entertaining view. You learn a little something from him, but it was also just entertaining. I mean, you go back to the turducken and all of the stuff, the Troy Aikman stuff. But that's what sports should be. It should be fun, and he made it that.
Absolutely. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I'm an offensive lineman. He made it pretty cool to be an offensive lineman. He really did. I mean, honest to God. I mean,
yeah.
You know, he blew up guys like Conrad Dobler back in the late 70s, and I wouldn't know who the hell Conrad Dobler was when I was 10, 12 years old. But then, you start getting into some good offensive line play, and he was all about it and all about winning the line of scrimmage, and he had that coach's mentality, but you just said it. He had the ability to relate to everybody in his audience. I mean, my wife, who's 7 years younger than me, she knows who John Madden is, and she was like, I don't even know he was a coach, but he was a hell of a – I mean, she could listen to the game, and she goes, I pretty much learned the game. And how many people can say they learned the game by listening to John Madden? Now, there's a certain amount of people out there who couldn't take his shtick. They were like, oh, it's the same thing over and over. But I found it entertaining as hell at all times. I really, really did. Everything about the guy was awesome.
Yeah, and to your point about her not knowing that he was a coach, and I think there were plenty of people in that same boat. What is remarkable to me, and it's kind of on my mind just because we just had a Center County Sports Hall of Fame board meeting last night, and just at the local level, we're going through guys and just some of the resumes where it's just incredible that some of these guys, and some are just, affiliated with one sport. Others, it's like, my God, the accomplishments in 4 different sports at the high school level. And then in some cases, a couple even at the collegiate level. And then you look at, contributions later in life. You could be a coach or a broadcaster, or the fact that John Madden was as successful in really 4 phases of football, and that's kind of unprecedented when you factor in the gaming component, which on one hand you say, well, that's insignificant, but that is what has branded him, right? I mean, people know, even if you don't know John Madden, you know the Madden game, if you're in the youngest generation. But he was a successful player, a wildly successful coach. I'm not sure people understand just how successful and good of a coach he was. And then, again, a legendary broadcaster. And then, again, you add in the Madden game with EA Sports. I mean, to impact in 4 different ways at that high of a level, a sport that you love, is really unprecedented, and it's astounding. And again, he was a very good player in his own right before any of this other stuff even started to happen. So, he certainly lived a life that was impactful, and I think again his place in football history is certainly secure and will forever be.
Yeah, I mean, I love hearing the stories now. You know what I mean? Like the NBC guy, I believe it was Jim Gray, was telling a story yesterday about when Darryl Stingley got
Yeah.
paralyzed and died from his paralysis, he told a story that Madden went to the hospital and realized that he was the opposing coach. And he got there and the Patriots coach wasn't there, and Madden got pissed off and called him and said, "Get your ass back here to this hospital. You don't leave a player behind." And that little stuff like that, I mean, that resonates with me, especially. But as a football player and as a man, I mean, he was he's self-degrading. I mean, you're still a draft pick in the NFL. I mean, I never played. He blew his knee out, got into coaching, all right. But, he was such a good announcer. And what he bought to the league, I didn't know that he had bought the first down marker, like the yellow line across the field. It pretty much was his idea.
Yep.
He had it implemented and all that. And then, the little Madden tracker and stuff like that. But the way he could, even when he had a bad game, it was still a fun game to listen to. I mean, nowadays, he definitely had his favorites, a.k.a. Troy Aikman. He loved Troy Aikman. He loved those Cowboys teams. And but Troy Aikman said was funny. He goes, he pretty much narrated my career. That's a pretty awesome thing to think about, especially with a career like Aikman did.
A couple of other things, and then we'll talk Penn State, Arkansas. Ben Roethlisberger says that signs are pointing toward this being his final game at Heinz Field on Monday night against the Browns. Certainly not definitive, but it feels like, and it's interesting because I'm reading some stuff about where Big Ben would fit elsewhere in the league. I think if this is his final season, and I think it may very well be in Pittsburgh, I think it'll be his final season in the NFL, period. I know, and it really isn't one of these things, although, yes, it would be hard to envision Ben in another uniform. But we've had plenty of those guys right over the years where it's like, my gosh, and even, dating back to the 70s, Franco Harris. I mean, for crying out loud. But more than that, more than just not wanting to see Big Ben in another uniform, I just don't think I think there's two things at play. One is I don't think he has a desire to play elsewhere. I think he either wants to play in Pittsburgh or give it up. And again, maybe I'm misreading that. But I don't think he's I don't think it's one of these situations where he has a burning desire to keep playing, and wherever I need to go to, I'll do it because that's I just have to keep the competitive fire burning. I really think in the last couple of years with his family situation, I think he is genuinely content right now to call it a day, and I think this season he certainly has been far from the biggest problem with for the Steelers, and in a large degree, he's why they're still in playoff contention, truthfully, with some of his second half performances. But clearly he has dropped off. I mean, he's not the same. It's much easier to bring him down now than it was throughout the course of most of his career. And so I'm expecting that this is going to be his last season in professional football. And what is going to be interesting to me is to see where the Steelers go and what they try to do. Because I think it is going to be the free agent market or a trade that the Steelers will look at to get through the next couple of years. And then, again, you're hoping you get that next big franchise pick at some point here in the next 2 to 3 years. But I think they're going to get or try to get somebody that can be the guy for a 2 or 3 year run here and try to get everything else in around them.
I think he's already in Pittsburgh. His name's Kenny Pickett.
Yeah,
it would be a great pick for him.
But I agree with that, and I'd be more than happy with that. I don't think Kenny Pickett is a guy that's just going to transition, though, right into the NFL. I think the Steelers are going to need to get, even if they get Pickett, and again, I think that would be a great acquisition and would fit beautifully in a lot of different ways. I still think you want to get, again, a veteran, and I'm seeing the talk about, I mean, that's all over the place right now with, Derek Carr and Carr. I mean, if they were able to get Carr, sign me up. I'm all on board with that. But I do think they need to get some veteran in there for a couple of years. Yep.
Gardner Minshew, baby. Minshew mania is running wild on the South Side.
Absolutely.
No, but I mean, you answered my question, the first comment you made, and that is, where the hell could Ben play?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. The one sports site was speculating on a couple of places, and I just don't see him. First of all, if you are a franchise that is that one player away, right? You have everything else in place, but the quarterback, I just don't think Big Ben at this stage is where you're going. Again, I don't know. Going in and learning a little bit of a new system, and again, I mean, I'm sure he would pick stuff up pretty quickly, but I don't see a team out there where Ben would be a great fit at this stage of his career. And again, there's some teams that I think he would be a clear upgrade at quarterback at, but I just can't see Ben going and leaving Pittsburgh to go play for a team that is 3 or 4 years away from a playoff run. And those are the situations that I think where the teams that would be interested in Ben, and that just doesn't, to me, make sense.
I'm completely on board with you right there. I mean, in my head, I'm just sitting there. I mean, he needs a strong running game and a pretty good offensive line. And people that have good run games and good offensive lines, they have pretty good quarterbacks already, so they're not really in the hunt for a 40-year-old guy like Ben. And he's always been about the whole Steeler way. And, with Hines Ward and Palomalu, not going to other teams just because they wanted to retire with one team. You got to appreciate that. You got to respect that. And I think that's the way Ben's going to go. Just my opinion. But, I mean, a good guy for the Steelers, in my opinion, Ironhead.
Yeah.
Why not go out and try and get, Russell Wilson out of Seattle?
Yeah, that's been
they're dangling. He makes a ton of money, but but Ben could actually play out there with that receiving core that Russell Wilson has. I mean, you said Franco going, and that's what made Seattle come in my head a little bit there.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't.
I don't see him going anywhere else, to be honest with you. I really don't, unless Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers goes down and they need to get somebody to fill in next year. That would be the only shot I'd have, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't think. I mean, maybe he'd take a call, but I don't think he would willingly go anywhere and be a backup. I just don't think that's. There are some guys that I think later in their career, again, it's like, well, yeah, I still want to. I just think he has enough money stashed away, and again, my read on it is he's pretty content. He knows his body has taken the game has taken a toll on his body. Let me put it that way over the years, and he is certainly more susceptible to injuries now. And I think he's been battling through something again this year. I think for the better part of it, and I just again, we never say never, but I think the fact that he was willing to concede, and he said, I'm not going to speak in, finality, but I think in his mind, he knows this is it. However, these next couple of weeks and hopefully, possibly the playoffs turn out, I think he has resigned himself to calling it a career, and it was a pretty fun ride, all things considered.
I'm at my in-laws' house, so I've watched 2 Browns games with them, and they're more pessimistic than Eagles fans. It's unfreaking believable. It just happens, bud. It's the way it is. I'm like, they're winning. They're not going to win this game. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. So, what about Big Ben up? Because they've all my in-laws and families now all turned on Baker. They want him done. They've had enough with him. But they got a strong running game, a great offensive line, and good receivers. So, hey, would Big Ben go to Cleveland? And rip your heart out, Ironhead. Look at you. I can see your heart.
No, but I just don't think. I mean, I never say never, but one, I don't think the Browns. I don't think that organization is ready to move on from Baker yet. For one,
a 4-interception game, they will.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think for Ben, again, at this stage of his career, I'm just not sure. First of all, I'm not sure Browns fans would all be all that excited about it, but I just don't know that that's really a great fit. Again, with where he's at physically right now, Roethlisberger, I'm talking about. I'm not sure that's a great fit for Cleveland. Again, if you're looking, if you have everything else in place, and you have a team, and I get it, they beat the Steelers last year, but I mean, that does not feel like it's a team that is just a quarterback away from being in the Super Bowl. And again, even if that was the case, I just don't know that, again, at this stage of his career, that Big Ben is that guy, or that you can feel confident in it, just with his even ability to hold up for a season moving forward. So I'm just looking through because I wanted to find the article. They were this is from Fansided. 5 potential landing spots for Ben Roethlisberger if he does want to play and the Steelers decide to move on from him. They say the Washington football team. Again, I just don't see that as
they'll pay him
fit for Big Ben. That they would do.
They would throw stupid money at him for that.
Yeah. But that's stupid is the key word there with the Washington football team. And I just don't know that stupid is where Big Ben wants to finish up its career. But, yeah, I mean, if you're just wanting to get the quick paycheck, I suppose that's a possibility. They suggest the New York Giants would be another possible landing spot. Again, same thing. I'm not sure that either the Browns or the Giants are necessarily the organizations are ready to move on. They mentioned the Houston Texans, which again, that might make more sense to me from the Texans' standpoint to have Big Ben in there. But what is your appeal if you're Roethlisberger? Because I think it's going to be another season or two of getting beat up with not any payoff, right? Like, yeah. I mean, I think if you're going to go somewhere, to me, if you're Roethlisberger, again, at this stage, it wouldn't be just to collect a paycheck, right? I mean, he's already made generational money. So I think if you're going somewhere, you at least want to have the idea that you're going to be playing for a Super Bowl in one of these next couple of seasons. And do you see any possibility with or without Big Ben of the Houston Texans being in the Super Bowl in the next couple of years? Because I'm not seeing that myself.
I'm blanking right now, but the quarterback they have right now won 2 in a row right now. He's on fire. He's dropping mofos in fantasy football right now is what he's doing.
Yeah, Davis. Mills, right?
Yeah.
So
killing people. But there's no way in hell he could be in New York City with that offensive line. I mean, Ben would, they could pay him $100 million, and Ben's going to say no way. I mean, no.
And listen, with Saquon and God love him, and I'm not giving up on him, but man, the production certainly has not been there this year. And the fans are growing a little restless with that. But yeah, the lack of a running game as a whole with the Giants, and again, they're a ways away. They mentioned the Saints as a possibility as well. I don't know. I guess I can
see that one too. They have a good offensive line and a good run game, and they could be. They're the quarterback away maybe from going.
Yeah, and the Denver Broncos. I would say the Saints and the Broncos of the 5 named there, those two, I could see at least Ben and the teams having a conversation and maybe some serious consideration.
I definitely see those last two as definite opportunities.
Yeah.
What Denver did the last two drafts with their receiving core,
yeah,
would love to be thrown to those guys. I mean, that's a lot of speed out there. They have nobody out there who can get them the ball.
Yeah, no question.
Crazy.
SEC off to a horrible start this bowl season, dear Goon, which I'm enjoying. South Carolina did beat North Carolina here just a little bit ago. And Tennessee and Purdue are, 7-7 here. Just 4 minutes and 45 seconds into the game, we already have a couple of touchdowns on the board in that one. But, and the Big Ten so far, undefeated. You're going at 2-0. So we'll see. I guess Purdue, the first of three Big Ten teams in action today. And then, we had the two yesterday. What's up?
Minnesota won it 3-0, the Big Ten.
What was the third one?
Minnesota, Maryland. And who was the second game yesterday?
Minnesota was the second game yesterday.
Well, that was West Virginia. Who did West Virginia lose to?
Minnesota.
But that was a late game the other night. Last night, late game was Oklahoma, Oregon. I don't know. Is it two? I think it's three. Yeah.
I think the Big Ten's only played two so far. They have three on the docket today.
Yeah, okay. Cocaine's a powerful drug there, buddy. I'm trying to think now. What the hell? But I love the SEC. The can response, well, we didn't care about this game and this and that, It's just typical of the SEC. And they can go 0-8 as long as they win those last two. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? That's the ones they're worried about and the ones everybody else is worried about.
This is true.
We got to talk about this. I mean, they need to get this opt-out thing under control. I mean, there's just absolutely – UCLA doing what they did the other night to NC State was absolutely horrendous. But then here's one step. You have UCLA who comes out and says, hey, listen, we had an outbreak. We can't play tonight. Okay, so they canceled the game 4 hours before. Mississippi State just shows up for the game, and they say, we're missing 11 guys. Which way do you want it? Do you want to know that going in? And people from NC State were very upset with UCLA not telling them anything. And then Mississippi State told nobody and just shows up with a quarter of their team missing. Right. It's just crazy right now. Just the whole aspect, everything about a bowl game is just nuts to me. I have a question, and this has been on my mind the last 2 or 3 days. So of our 6 opt-outs, how many – okay, which of our guys are – I would say Dotson and Brisker are probably first day, maybe early second day, first 2-day guys. Right?
Yeah.
We have 6 guys that aren't playing. So there's 4 more who were probably projected 3rd round or below. And you're not going to play in a bowl game. I just don't Jeff, I don't get it. And the one that really if you don't want to play, that's fine. You don't want to play. But I'm telling you right now, if I see those guys on the sideline, I'm going to be pissed off. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be pretty pissed off.
Yeah, I've been thinking more about it since Booch and I did the show on Tuesday, and even with because listen, I could make the argument that the guys that are listen if Jahan Dotson went out and broke his leg, right? There's enough to let him. He's still going to get a shot in the NFL. If a 6th-round draft pick breaks his leg, a projected 6th-round draft pick, teams may – he's still going to get a workout at some point, but, Dotson would still get drafted, right? Like, he might not get drafted as highly, but he might still get drafted as highly because, again, it's a recoverable injury. Most injuries, right, are not career-ending injuries. Yep. And, Booch and I were talking about it on Tuesday's show because I said, well, if you're Jahan Dotson, why would you risk the injury against Michigan State? What was the difference in
when's it start?
whether Penn State was 7-4 or 8-4 or 7-5. What difference does that make to you at the end of the day? And if he gets injured in that Michigan State game, I mean, that's a more meaningless game than the bowl game, right? And yeah, I do think the more I've thought about it, the more I do think that you are bailing on your teammates, right? Like that is, and no matter where you're projected to get drafted. And I am kind of mildly surprised at just how quickly and easily we as a sporting society have just, that's just what happens now. Because it happened quickly, right? It went from, it wasn't even a consideration for guys to not play in the bowl game to now.
Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey were pretty much the first two that I remember.
To now pretty much all seniors at least consider it, right? I mean, all seniors that have any aspiration of playing in the NFL are at least having the discussion and sitting down and thinking about it with the bowl game. And what I was saying to Booch is, I don't know if as everything moves in this toward a more business oriented sport at the collegiate level, I'm not sure that you don't write into the letters of intent, hey, if you come here, we are expecting you to play your entire career. And if you don't suit up for, and listen, it could even get to the way the pro contracts are written.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Where it's a percentage of games you need to play. And if you get injured, you may end up costing yourself, which, again, you don't want to see that stuff occur, but it is a significant investment that these schools are making. And part of that investment comes from the TV money. Well, I'm telling you, the product that we're watching in these bowl games,
so bad.
And COVID, again, is partly to blame for sure. But yeah, you're not watching the teams and the stars that got us interested in these teams throughout the course of the season, with the exception of the college football playoffs. And even there, why, again, if you're, as we were talking, if you're a, let's just say you're the star quarterback for Cincinnati and it's halftime and Alabama's up 35-0 tomorrow night. Why are you going to go out in the second half? Right? If I mean, at that point, you're not playing for a national title. And if it is all about trying to protect yourself and from injury, I don't know. It just seems to me that the risk reward thing here is out of kilter.
There's two times I recall it really happening, and that was the Notre Dame linebacker, with the Packers, and then was with the Steelers for a while. His last name was Smith, I think. Really good player, unbelievable player. Cost himself a lot of money because of the injury in the bowl game. I get it. And then the other one was Jake Butt. He tore his knee up in the Orange Bowl for Michigan tight end a couple years ago, but he still ended up being a first-round pick. But he never recovered from it physically. So I understand. I'm okay with Dotson and a guy like Brisker who are probably going to be first-day guys. I'm okay with that. It's the guys who are, fighting to get drafted in the third or fourth or fifth or sixth round.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, would you not want to go out there and show some tape of you beating the living tar out of some guy from the SEC and offensive tackle? Yeah. Well, why would you not want that on film? And I put it back to, I'll go back to my senior year, and I've been talking to my friends about this. So I missed 2 games my senior year because I had my knee got scoped in middle of the season. Okay? So my knee never really recovered, and I'm playing in the Outback Bowl. And then 2 weeks later, I'm playing in the Senior Bowl, and 2 weeks after that, I'm in the NFL Combine. I had never once rehabbed my left knee, built any strength back in it, and it was a detriment to me. I believe when it came to working out and getting ready for the draft, but I sure as hell wasn't going to stop not playing in a bowl game because I wanted to work on my draft status. I wanted to dominate an SEC front seven, and have that on film. I mean, for a guy like Tangelo, I believe his name, number 54, the D tackle, he's fighting to be a 6th round draft pick. How about we're so short on the defensive line right now. You are going to get more plays this game than you are the rest of the year.
Yeah.
You have a lot of places, and that's a pretty good offensive line Arkansas has. Go out, dominate that game, move yourself up the board. I just don't get it. And again, I go back to this, Jeff. These guys are making announcements 3 days before the game. Did they travel with the team? Or are they at the team hotel?
Yeah.
Or are they going to be on the sideline? Are they living on Penn State's and eating all the meals with the team? I would be absolutely livid. And as you know me, Jeff, that would infuriate me as a player.
Yeah.
If you don't want to stay with us, but you want to eat with us and stay with us, get out of here. You're done.
Yeah.
You know?
We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the matchup here with Arkansas. What we are looking forward to seeing, some of the things we're disappointed we won't see, and how we think this game will turn out on New Year's Day as we continue with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show after this.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickle's Tap Room, we say,
tell him Johnny sent you.
And remember,
and we welcome you back into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show on this Thursday, New Year's Eve. Again, I am at Quaker Steak and Lube, the Dear Goon, joining us on location here this afternoon as we get ready for Penn State and Arkansas in the Outback Bowl. And, you know, Goon, the one thing it does offer you is a glimpse at some of the guys that are going to need to step up next season, right, for Penn State. And I do think, you know, how this defense responds, and especially with KJ Jefferson and what he brings to the table at that quarterback spot for Arkansas is going to be interesting. I mean, this team is going to have to find a way to at least slow him down and to try to keep the running game in check here, I think. Or I think this game could get away from Penn State pretty quickly and pretty easily myself on Saturday.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I'm looking at this game like that Houston game, 10 years ago after the Joe thing, and our players didn't want to be there. It was an up-and-coming Arkansas team who was going to use it to catapult towards next year. I just have that feel about it. Our guys just, you know, again, I'm upset that it's, you know, that this time last year we bowed out of a bowl game. I want to go back to that. What the hell is the difference? I mean, we're saying everything. We want the more practices. We want to build towards next year. We want to play a good opponent. You had that last year. I have no idea why we didn't accept that bowl. I don't know. I don't understand it. I never will. But then this year, now it's like, oh, we got the extra practices. We could play against an SEC team and make a name. And then our younger guys are going to start playing. And that's great. But it's you know, where was it? The same thing last year. And we better be ready to play because Arkansas is going to come ready to ball. There's no doubt. They're that up-and-coming hungry team who plays in the SEC. Penn State is a name program out there still. As bad as we think we are, and we are nationally. We're still nationally known as Penn State. There's no doubt about it. And they would love to go in and kick our doors in, and they're planning on doing that. So if our guys aren't ready to get into a fight, we're in trouble, and they're just going to pack their bags and, we'll fly back to Pennsylvania tomorrow, and then no tails between the legs, and we better show some fight. I mean, we that's just my feeling.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's what I want to see. But I'm kind of also with you in worrying about just kind of the overall approach here. And I think you're right. I think Arkansas is really hungry and looks at this as a great opportunity. I'm just not sure how Penn State as a program is really viewing this game. Again, you lost 5 of your last 7 games. So, I think part of you has to feel like you're a little undeserving of being in this bowl game. And with the players that have opted out, and I don't know, that's a good point about the if you're down there and you're doing all of the fun bowl activities with your teammates and then saying, see ya, good luck, guys. You go out there and you get the work done.
I'll see you at dinner.
I do think you probably once you board the plane to go to the bowl game, right? You ought to be obligated to play. Now, you could get sick or injured in practices or that sort of thing. But you need to be committed to playing in that bowl game once you step foot in the plane. I'm with you on that.
It's just I really want to see it because my personal opinion is I saw it last night. Iowa State's top running back is in uniform, had pads on. He had his jersey on, and he was pumping his teammates up and this and that. Is he stayed there with Iowa State and he didn't play? But again, he's a first-round top player. I get it. That is a big difference in this situation. I think we have guys who are like, it's the cool thing to do is, I'm not playing in this game. I'm going to opt out. I'm going to go train for the NFL. If you're a first-round pick, I can see that. If you're nowhere near day 1 or 2 and you're opting out, you're costing yourself some pretty substantial playing time. And I just don't get it. I don't unless you're so fed up with this program and Franklin and Brett Pry leaving that you don't want to play. Maybe that happened. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see first day guys who were fighting. But I go back, you said it 2 years ago. Okay, so if a college football team loses their second game, what the hell is the point of the star players playing? Why not just opt out in the middle of October? Hey, I'm done. You know what? I can't do it. We lost to Iowa, lost to Illinois last week. I'm done. I'll see you guys. That's where we're going.
And I don't want to go too far. But the mindset, you could just as easily have a career-ending injury against Illinois, right, as you could in the bowl game against Arkansas. And if you have a season-ending injury against Illinois or a career-ending injury against Illinois, again, what I'm wondering is if that is not where we are headed with this thing now. And, just like with the bowl game, it took, a guy or two making that decision and then it steamrolled. Well, eventually, right, somebody is going to, once if you have national championship aspirations, and certainly if you get, you get off to a 3-3 start, again, at some point, somebody, right, is going to say, well, listen, never mind. And to your point, okay, then at what point do the schools say, no, you need to give us back the tuition?
You owe us.
There's something that's out of line there. And even with like the Jahan Dotson, again, the part of why, and listen, these guys are going to be successful no matter where they're at, right? But part of the reason his stock is where it's at is because of his development at Penn State and what he was able to accomplish wearing the Penn State uniform. And listen, Penn State, I get it, has gotten plenty. It's been a reciprocal relationship for sure. But again, part of the reason the TV money is there is because of the college stars. And that's the other thing I'm wondering, Goon, is and I haven't seen, I don't know what, maybe the ratings are unaffected. And listen, I mean, I'll be tuned into Penn State of whether all of the starters opt out or not. And a lot of fans, I suspect, are going to be that way with bowl games. So maybe it's a moot point. But if the networks start saying, listen, we were paying these millions and millions because we thought we were going to get Penn State and Arkansas with a couple of standout wide receivers. Now both of their standout receivers are not going to be on the field. Well, that's a less attractive matchup for the network and for the sponsors of the bowl games. And I'm just wondering at what point the finances, as everything is coming back to finances now in big-time college sports, do the finances dictate that, hey, you want your NIL money, you want your scholarship, you play the schedule, that's bowl game included.
Yeah, what about this? I don't know who Johan Dotson is sponsored by, if he has any of them, but if I'm giving you $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 to advertise me, you're going to advertise my company, and you're not playing in the biggest game of the year when you're going to have national eyes on you.
Yeah.
I mean, is it really worth it? Again, the NCAA football really needs to backtrack, stop what they're doing right now. The road we're going down right now is just bad. Bad. They need to lock in these coaches, lock in the NIL money, needed to get it under control. I'm you know me, I'm not an NIL fan. I'd rather have everybody accept the same amount of money. But they have no control of it. The NCAA has no control, and no one's monitoring this. The players opting out. But the biggest thing is the coaches that are leaving right after their last game and then right at the beginning of the biggest recruiting part of the year. Yeah. They have to fix this. It has to be – they need to make a dead period of where coaches can move around and this and that without being negatively recruited, or just flat out deserting your team is what they're doing. I mean, I'm Notre Dame. I'm not happy Chip Kelly's at LSU. I mean, you paid him a lot of money to coach Notre Dame. And I know they're happy with who they have there now, and I'm happy he's there. I'm not a Kelly fan whatsoever, but if I'm Notre Dame, I'm like, hey, you're paid to coach Notre Dame, and here we are in the top 10 bowl, and you're gone.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, same thing. I mean, Bob freaking Stoops hasn't coached in how many years? Steps out of the commentating box and wins a football game last night. It's just a weird world we're in right now, man.
that it is, and I think it's going to get weirder. Is the thing moving forward?
I'm weird.
Yeah, I'm with you, but yeah, I don't think we still know, any of us really know what's coming and how all of this is going to unfold in terms of what college athletics is going to look like, and kind of how this whole thing moves forward over the next even 5 years, let alone 10, 15 years down the road. Again, I think it's going to be largely unrecognizable to what we knew as the college model.
You tell me that the Outback Bowl is happy, that Arkansas's best players aren't playing, Penn State best players aren't playing. They're like, okay, you have the people there. That's great. They've had the problem selling tickets the last 10 years for bowl games, in my opinion, because they bloated the market. And now, who is really making any money on these bowls? Where is the money coming from other than television? So they're going to be making the rules soon enough. I mean, I just can't imagine. I mean, we stepped up a little bit going to the Outback Bowl. We jumped over two teams going to the Outback Bowl.
Yeah,
I can't imagine them being happy with us. I mean, I really can't, with what we're going to put on the field out there. Well, or they don't care. They care about the people in the stands, and we're going to bring the people in the stands. So I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people who were like me and very upset with this team in this year and how it ended, and are not going to that bowl game. I don't know what you're hearing.
Well, listen, for the game itself, Goon, both teams are missing some key players here, but I just look at the matchup, and again, it's going to come down to the line of scrimmage to me, and I just don't see Penn State matching up well on either line of scrimmage. right? I mean, I just think Arkansas, and it's not that, I mean, this is not, Georgia in terms of its defensive line play, but it's good. I mean, this is a solid team on both sides of the ball as far as the line play. And to me, that is still, where Penn State got exposed in that second half of the season this year. And I think it's why I have a tough time envisioning Penn State winning this game, along with some of the other things we talked about. The intangibles, I think, are, in this case, favoring Arkansas going in. I do think, Penn State special teams play, I think, will be good. I'm hoping that it's a completely healthy, healed, and rested Sean Clifford that takes the field, and I think that is a big difference maker for this Penn State offense, because I don't think we've seen a truly completely healthy, able to do everything he wants to do Sean Clifford since the Iowa game, and so that is one thing that gives some hope, I think, for Penn State and what it can do, but I just I don't know. I do not have a good feeling about this game going in, which maybe is a good thing, because every time I have a good feeling, Penn State has dropped the ball this year or so.
No doubt about it. I'm completely with you right now, and that is that I don't see how they match up both sides of the line of scrimmage against this team. I mean, we're not talking, again, like you just said, we're not playing the 4 blocks of granite over here. I mean, we're playing an Arkansas team who is, I would equivalently say they're Minnesota, Iowa type team.
Yeah.
Beatable, our level where we should be better than them. I'm looking for this. And this is what pisses me off about this team and this program right now. And it's just beyond infuriating is we were known, you knew you played Penn State the day after.
Yeah.
You were in a freaking dogfight. You were fighting, scratching, clawing. Down 30 points, we were still fighting and clawing. If this team folds the tents and quits early in this game and we get embarrassed, something has to be done, because it's getting too easy for these guys to quit, in my opinion. And they come home here. I looked at North Carolina today. There's no way in hell North Carolina should have gotten beat up like they did by South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina embarrassed them, run them off the field. Who saw that coming? It was a 13-point spread. And they ended up losing. I mean, that's a 30-point swing, how they lost today. And it's like their players didn't even care. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't want to see that. I don't want us to go down that route of it's just being so easy to quit and say, okay, well, it wasn't our day. We had too many guys out. Like, okay, that's another excuse. We need to start taking, responsibility for why are we not winning games? Why are we not beating? Why are we not tough? Why are we losing in the fourth quarter? It's getting old. And there's no one who loves this team more than me and you. I mean, the fact that we're having this conversation sucks. Absolutely sucks. I mean, I can't believe we're having this conversation, but it needs to be said. It's like, I'm listening to Sandy Barber today in her little press conference, and she said it was the best 4-year run in 35 to 40 years that in the last, from 16 to 19. I'm like, 2019 was 2-3 seasons ago. We're still living off of that. And then you're going to tell me that 40 years ago, between 1982 and 1986, when we won 2 national titles, we're in the same boat as that? Come on. What are we smoking? I mean, are they believing their own lies? What's going on?
Yeah, I do think next year is now a real critical and pivotal year for the program. Right. Again, last year, and I think we were both kind of on board with give a pass. It was just goofy year and everything that was involved. And we were both very high on this team from the outset. And then obviously the Iowa game and the injury to Clifford changed the perplexion for sure. But then, they just never recovered. The team never kind of got its bearings back. And I think that's disappointing. And regardless of this bowl game, again, you've got a terrific, probably the best recruiting class in at least 17 years. And maybe, I mean, this we'll see. I mean, but in terms of what it's projected as and what it's rated, this could be one of the top 2 or 3 classes that Penn State's ever brought in terms of, again, not what it's accomplished yet at the college level, but in terms of the credentials that the class brings in. So there is reason for optimism, again, regardless of this bowl game outcome. But I do think that when you go through back-to-back seasons now where you've had 5 losses, and again, this year, the fact that you weren't able to get things back on track after, again, to me, the Iowa game is excusable. I know there are fans that feel otherwise and didn't think the backup quarterback was prepared and all of that, and that's fine. That's debatable. But I can forgive the Iowa game and chalk that up to just unfortunate circumstance. But if you're a program that has the type of talent that Penn State supposedly does with what it has recruited, right, you've got to be able to recover from that, get your bearings back, maybe not even the next week, but in short order, right? You've got to have some other guys step up. You've got to adjust schemes, whatever. And they just never were able to get, again. And it wasn't that, the other thing is, I don't think that this team quit to your point earlier. I don't think this was a team that went out and just tanked it at any point, but it never was able to recapture the energy that it had early in the season and that ability to find a way to win. And, we've talked about this many times, Goon, that momentum is such a funny thing, and it can change quickly one way or the other. And that momentum that we talked about and from the last 4 games of last season, all through the offseason and the recruiting up until the Iowa game this year, right? I mean, it was just like a wave of momentum. And the one thing I will say, I do think James Franklin and the staff deserve a lot of credit for the momentum swinging back against Penn State to still hang on to virtually that entire recruiting class. I know that they lost the one kid, but I mean, they basically kept that class intact through losing 5 of the final 7 there. And that is not insignificant. But you've got to start getting a good vibe again about this program next season. And I don't know, I've had a couple of discussions, what does this team need to do next year? I don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer. I don't think it's, playoffs or bust next year or this, coaching regime or this program is a failure. But you've got to see substantial progress, right? Like you cannot have another 5-loss season. And I don't know what, it needs to be next year. I don't know if it, with the schedule they have, if, 9-3 and getting to a decent bowl game and then winning that, if you get to another 10-win season, if that is good enough. I don't know. I don't have an answer. It's almost one of those things. I just think you'll know it if you see it. But you've got to see, to me, and feel that, okay, yep, this thing is progressing forward again. And yes, that, I think next year, even with Clifford back, I think, a title run to me seems unlikely. And that being said, who knows? Because with the transfer portal, I mean, you got a couple of star players in here, or you have a couple of, the other way, a couple of star players leave, and all of a sudden, maybe 7-5 is looking like a best case scenario. So that's the other part of it is, there's just so many moving parts anymore, and trying to get a real handle on where a program is, because, and I'm talking myself out of the point I was just trying to make, because the truth is they could have a disastrous, they could go 5-7 next year, have a losing record. And if James Franklin makes the right connections and keeps the recruiting class that they have in together, and they could turn around the very next year and be a playoff team. And that's the case with just about any team, because, again, you don't know what's going to happen with the transfer portal. You don't know what all's going on behind the scenes in terms of, redshirting and guys talking to other guys and all of that. So I withdraw all of my my points and say I have no idea what's going to happen or how important really next year is. It feels like it should be important in terms of getting this thing feeling like it's on the right path again.
And it's so much better and easier to off season when you're coming off of a win. You know, this loss will stick. If you get beat up, it's just going to stick in your craw all year. That's how I always felt. I mean, I know Joe felt like that. I mean, I lost one game in my 7 bowl games here. We lost the 1992 Booze Buster Bowl. And I'm not lying to you, that winner was absolutely horrible. And he beat the crap out of us, ran half the team off and this and that. So I'm just going to say this, and a friend of mine said this. He goes, I'm sick of celebrating all the recruiting victories and not on the recruiting battles we're winning and not winning the football battles. So leave it at that. It's going to be – I want to see what we do tomorrow. Saturday. I'm really interested to see what we do.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't have a good feeling. I've give predictions here. I think I have it Arkansas 27, Penn State 17.
I had 28-7 Arkansas, so that means we're both on the same side here. So that means that Penn State huge.
Penn State should win big, based on past precedent. Yeah, James Franklin is probably the happiest guy in the world right now hearing these predictions.
Oh man, but hey, enjoy it. Happy New Year, Ironhead. Everybody out there, thank you for listening. Great year. Let's make next year even better, man.
Enjoy the football. Go Cincinnati and go Michigan. I'm rooting for Michigan to get the Big Ten in there, even though it goes against every fiber of my being. But I'm rooting for a Michigan-Cincinnati championship game, which would be bizarre, and I don't think it's going to happen. But that's what I'm rooting for.
We'll see. We'll see where the cookies lay, man.
Folks, enjoy the weekend of football and everything else, and yes, a very happy 2022 to one and all. We will be back on Tuesday with another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. Until then, be good and be safe.
Woo!